Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, as usual, I'm going to be recording this session for other students who will also join in the
Okay.
audio later. Like the likes of Christopher, he's not with us. He has some issues that he's working on, and I think he will get the recordings. So, as
Okay.
yesterday we were still concluding with the best practices of the best practices for trade compliance. What should you do such that you comply with all the rules? One, we talked about you need to establish a trade compliance program that you should follow clearly. Then we also say that you should stay informed and updated on what is going on in the customs with the customs authorities and what are the changes that the countries have trade regulations that are put in place. We also said you should conduct risky assessment. Then you should also maintain accurate and complete documentations. Your documents should be very accurate. Then we also talked about classifying your products correctly. You should classify them correctly. If you classify them in, for example, if you classify them wrongly, it means that you're going to cheat yourself because this classification will give you it will not give you the appropriate harmonized system codes, the ones we talked about, that these codes are used to class to identify or determine the taxes that are imposed on the goods that you have brought. So you need to classify your products properly such that you don't cheat yourself or you don't be cheated. Then you also need to conduct what we call due diligence on business partners. Before you engage with in trade activities, you need to conduct due diligence with your partners, like the suppliers, the buyers, the distributors, and the agents, because you need to verify. One, you need to track their records. How have they been performing? Eh, Are they compliant? The licenses, are their license up to date? Hmm? Because you don't want to deal with someone whose license is expired, because it may end up affecting your reputation as an organization. Then you should also implement internal controls and audits. This one now comes back to the employees. You who is the manager who is managing the import and export management, you need to do really what is supposed to be done, because you may know the you may be knowing the process that is supposed to the procedure very well, but because of your interest, your personal interest, you start to not comply with the process, the procedure. You start bringing in uh, bribery, corrupted mind. So the organization itself should implement an internal control which limits its employees from even doing such activity. So the organization should not leave any gap. Hmm? Maybe another way of fixing that gap, maybe you make that process for, like, not for, you assign it for more than three people or a committee to undertake that task. You don't give it as as an individual or an employee, because he's in that office, he should undertake all the activities. He should seek for approvals from other offices, okay, such that this one can make him or do what is required, or the employee what is required. Then another point yesterday that I talked about, that I was still making, and oh, my Zoom went off, was you engage external expertise. If you feel like you don't have enough information about or something, then you consider, eh, you consider what we call sourcing. You source from outside. You source a consultant to undertake that task for you. Legal advisors, you can also give you information. You can consult this legal advisor to help you on some of the issues. So these advisors and the custom brokers, they can assist you with complex compliance matters that you really didn't know, and they can give you a specialized knowledge and experience that can help ensure that you are compliant in undertaking this task if you're exporting or importing. So that is all with compliance and trade regulations. So if you have any other question that I have not talked about, anything that I've not talked about, and you feel like you want to see, you will go through the notes, and you can write it in the forum discussion. Uh, under the learning platform, there is a section that is created for these matters. For example, if you have something to discuss, you can just take there to the forum discussion and type it in there. So I will find time and check, and we discuss what is there. Even me, if I have something that we want us to discuss as a class, I will also go there and put it there, such that you also find it and you give your mind about it. So let's go move very fast to our third topic, and that is import and export documentation.
Documentation.
Yes, there are a lot of documents that since we started, have been talking about documentations. So, if I may ask, what are the few documents that you know that are required in the import and export activity?
Number, we may even mention number one is commercial invoice.
Yes.
Mm.
What is
So the one, yes.
what is that
So when we
invoice?
talk,
What is the purpose of that
yeah,
invoice? And what are the details there?
the commercial invoice is a key or document that provide a detailed description of the goods being shifted, including quantity of value, unit price, and total value.
Yes, what about?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
I can hear you. What about you, Garam?
Question was about what?
Yes, we are talking about the documents that are used in the import and export or management, or when you're undertaking the import and export activity.
Yeah, when it comes to import and export management, there are several documents which are used, like the one that has been mentioned, because it is like procurement, because there are some processes that are followed. And these processes that are followed, or the steps that are followed, or the document required, if they are not there, then it brings sometimes a problem for you to import goods. Some goods might be something which and some goods which are banned, like South Sudan. There are some things which they maybe they don't want to be brought to South Sudan, And there are also other things that which maybe South Sudan don't stop from importing, like the weapon. So we talk this document like this. It's called embargo or something like embargo, maybe embargo or something. Like for instance, in South Sudan they have that ban on bringing the weapons. So I think this one is one document which the step.
That is the import or export license.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also there are these import and export licenses. These are trade licenses that you maybe will get from a certain ministry or maybe a certain department of the government that allows you to bring in certain goods. And if you bring in certain goods and you don't have these license, they can be arrested by
Yes,
the government
in
or confiscated
reference to
taken from you.
that import and export license, which, for
Yes.
example, which product here in South Sudan or which good here in South Sudan that is required, more especially the export license, because South Sudan exports goods. Do you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. Which goods does South Sudan export? For example, that you know. Yeah. So apart from oil, South Sudan, I know they export oil. Then they import it after processing. But South Sudan, ideally, they export ready food, and that is fish. South Sudan export fish. This fish is got from Bor and it is taken to some parts of Uganda, Arua, Koboko business people they come in. So for people who are engaged in that business of exporting fish in South Sudan here, they are required by the Minister of the Fisheries to have their license, the license for exporting fish. Then also in Uganda, also the same, they will want also you to be recognized by the ministry, by the authorities, and they will ask you for import license from that country, and that is the work of this license.
Like,
Yes. So let's discuss some of the documents that are put across. So each product has its own specific documents that are required. It depends on the product, but there are other documents that are required by every product. So we are going to look at this. For example, the commercial invoice. Of course, each document, each product that you buy, it has an invoice. Okay, so that is the first document. So import and export documentation plays a crucial role in facilitating the smooth flow of goods across international borders and ensuring compliance with import and export regulations. Yes, if you have all these documentations in place, the clearance of these goods in across borders of different countries will be very simple and seamlessly, because every document that they want, you have it. Okay. So these documents provide the necessary information for the customs authorities, the shipping agents. The shipping agents, you know the shipping agents? These are the people who, who helps
Which
in
means goods
moving these goods from one country to another, and other parties involved in the import and export process. So let's look at the common import and export documents that are there. Marco, you talked about the commercial invoice. The commercial invoice, its work is to it provides the description of the goods that are being shipped. It describes the good. If it's a vehicle, it will describe that vehicle. If it's highs, it will say this is highs, engine number. It will give all the full details. Then it will also include the quantity, how many. If it's one, it will also include. Then it's kilograms because it is required, because other consignments are charged according to its weight. So it is also going to ask you for it. Then the value, if the value, and the value in form of price, in form of number, what is the price of that consignment that you're moving. So this document explains all these details. Then it also carries the information of the buyer who bought these goods, who is the seller, the company that is selling to you these goods, or the manufacturer or the producer. It carries all this information. Then the terms of sale. If you check in your ordinary receipts, you will find that down there, there are disclaimer, there are the terms of sale, that maybe if you there is a warranty, you know. So all these are carried under a commercial invoice. So in the customs authorities, they may require this document because they want to start calculating what you're supposed to pay. For example, when you're importing a car, like here in South Sudan, there are other cars that are given percentage. For example, you pay 20% of the price, the cost price of that car. So if the car you bought it at $8,000, then they will charge you 20% of 8,000. That is what you are supposed to pay for some other uh, customs or duties. That is how they multiply the sum of the division. So if this commercial invoice is not there, it means that they will not continue with their calculation. They will need this commercial invoice. Then let's talk about the packing list. Packing list. The packing list specifies the content of each shipment. The shipment, let's talk about the consignment or the package. What are the number of the package? So the packing list, for example, it's got by the carrier or the person who, the carrier is the company that transports the consignment. So this can be, for example, here in South Sudan, here we use containers. If you read in your transport management module, there is another topic of containerization. There are different types of containers. So for the customs, they will not need to again unpack all, offload all the goods that are in a particular container. What they do, they get that packing list, because the packing list has its dimension, the weight, and the description of the goods inside. Okay, so this helps the customs authorities to verify the content of that shipment. What are they are moving, and the customs authorities, if they are coming to inspect, because you already declared the goods that for me I have this and this and this goods in the car. So when they come for inspection, what they will do, they will just get that packing list and just get some of the samples. They first get some of the samples that are around the door. Let me say the entrance, so they can confirm from there. So it will just keep their work very smooth and simple. Then that's why other people who wants to smuggle goods inside, what they do, some of the goods that are more expensive, that are of high value, they know that if they recognize these goods at the border, the customs authorities will ask for more taxes from these goods. What they do, they pack these goods as the first goods in the container. So such that these goods which are of low prices and or low taxes, they just bring them in there. In the big starts here at the entrance. So if the time for inspection comes, and because they know how they have played their documents at the customs uh, or the clearance office, then when they come for inspection, these people will just check on what is at the entrance, and they verify with what is in the paper, and they just go done or the moving. Also, that is the weakness of some of these strategies for inspecting.
Also, this also I think it's also like this checklist. Also,
Mm.
sometimes like in the organization when we are purchasing things outside, there's a this list which they put on the thing that you bought. It will also help
Mhm.
you like when they are uploading, you check one
Yes,
by one whether all these items that you have purchased or that you have
yes,
procured from somewhere are all
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Again,
So this,
also it helps these people of the customs because that packing list or that checklist, if they are to say maybe that we are going to upload in case they are doubting of anything of something,
mm,
then they said we are going to remove everything and we check. So they will see everything that is the list. So if they
yes.
find something is inside that container and it is not inside that list, they will take it
So now that is
automatically
being
because it's
sent
not
out
included.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So thank you
So
for
I
that.
think that will also help them, and it also help you someone who is purchasing from out to know what is in the container or what you have bought from outside.
Yeah. So thank you for that
Mm.
information. So let's go and talk about bill of lading. Yes. So this bill of lading, it is it is just a receipt. It is serves as a receipt, and it's a legal document. So it's a legal document that is issued by the carrier. The carrier, that is what I say, the carrier is the transport company that transports your consignment or your goods. Hmm? So this bill of lading is just a contract between the shipper and the carrier. So the shipper is the owner of the goods. Hmm? Okay. So if I deliver my goods to the carrier that these are the goods, so as a way of acknowledging that we have received your goods, they will give me a receipt. So that receipt is what we call bill of lading. So there are very many types of bill of ladings, because we shall discuss about them. Maybe there is a topic also about bill of lading. So this document has types. One, there is one which is paid immediately. For example, or if the contract specifies that, or the company says that my money is supposed to be paid immediately when you're delivering the goods before shipment. Okay, that is another type. Then there is one which is paid after. Okay? After. Or there is also one which you say, okay, we pay half. So these are the different types of bill of lading. We shall discuss them in details. So a bill of lading is just a receipt or a document, or which specifies or acknowledges the receipt of the goods for shipment. So it also gives the details. The company, after receiving the goods, they will specify the details, that the type of the goods they have received, the quantity, eh, eh, or the destination where they are taking the goods is also important, because if you agreed that my goods I'm receiving them in Juba, then I should receive them in Juba, not anywhere. For example, at Nimule or anywhere. No, I need to receive them in Juba. So this one also helps you when you're making negotiations. If you to determine which type of bill of lading do you want to go with, or to select, because this carrier company, you need to this carrier, you need to give them the obligation of moving these goods up to where you are supposed to pay. So you may decide that, okay, maybe I will pay half and the other half will be paid after receiving my goods. So all these documents are important, like the bill of lading. You compare your bill of lading and the packing list. If you receive these goods, there is also the receiving note. I don't know the receiving note list. If you receive these goods and all the details are not matching, then you start to investigate where is the problem coming from. Okay, because you have the commercial invoice, it is stating the same goods. You have the packing list, the same goods. You also bill of lading, the same details of the goods. Then you're also going to receive these goods, the same details. So these are three or four documents stating the same goods. Okay, they are the same goods. So you can really you need to receive the goods. You're sure that you will be assured that you receive the same quantity, the same goods, because of this kind of documents. Then another document is airway bill. Airway bill is a document that is issued by the airline or the freight forwarder. Do you know a freight forwarder? A freight
I
forwarder.
think.
Yeah?
See, like there's this one, like maybe you are purchasing from a certain country and they want maybe your good to be brought using an airplane, maybe the airways.
Yes.
So there are those one who clear them. There are those one who clear them. It can be like a company.
Yes.
So you buy and then those things are taken to them. Then they
Yeah.
will clear. Then they will put them on the flight. Then you receive them with the address from a certain area.
Yes, that is good.
In
That
your
is good
country.
explanation. So, in simple terms, a freight forwarder, this is a company that organizes for the shipment of the goods. Hmm? Yeah, it organizes for the shipment on the goods. Maybe then they also get their own carrier. So for you, your work is you wait for your goods as the way you have stated. So because this is called airway bill, this is a document issued by the airline or the freight forwarder for goods shipped by air only. It serves as an evidence of the contract of carriage and includes details about the shipment, such as shipper, the consignee, and the flight details. Which flight are you using? If it's Ethiopian Airline, then the consignee is the person who bought the goods or the buyer. Then the shipper is the owner of the goods, maybe. Yes, the owner of the goods or the person who initiated these goods to move. Mhm. Then that one is simple. Splendid. Let's go to another document, that is certificate of origin. This certificate is more important, as we discussed yesterday. Its importance is to
Yes.
help you secure other customs or trade agreements. It determines the eligibility of those goods that you're bringing. So yesterday I talked about the preferential tariffs. So this document, the certificate of origin, is a document that satisfies the country in which the goods were manufactured or produced. So it is used to determine the eligibility for preferential tariff treatment. So under what do you what what is preferential tariff treatment? Preferential tariff treatment, these are agreements that trade agreements that are made by other countries, such that their goods or they have fair trade within those countries. For example, the European Union. So all the countries that are under the European Union, if you're undertaking trade within those countries, you will find that you get other preferential tariff treatment. You get some lower taxes imposed on your goods because of this treatment. Yes, there I also talked about the East African community. This is also another term. Any good that is uh, that originates from Uganda, you bring it to South Sudan, it will get such treatment because of its origin. But any food that is coming from Philippines, and because South Sudan and Philippines, they don't have any trade agreement that is going around, it means that these goods are going to face the tariffs that are there, that are set, so which are not like these tariffs that are under trade agreements. Let me hope that one is clear. Yeah, even this issue of trade agreements, we are only talking about importing and exporting goods, but there's also importing services. Services like, this idea or this mentality of people moving from these African countries, and they want to go to these European countries. They are looking for jobs. Others, they go and work as maids. So before, Ugandan workers have been making noise on social media that they are mistreating them in Saudi Arabia. They are not treated well. They are not treated as human beings. Okay, so the Ugandan government intervened, and they had some bilateral agreements between Uganda and Saudi Arabia. So now some of the issues are resolved. So these trade agreements help, hmm, even you to offer your services, or to export your services to other countries. Okay, like now in South Sudan, in Saudi Arabia, they brought other policies. Their government introduced other policies which can favor workers, and who moved this is Uganda, or the government of Uganda, the authorities, because of these agreements which came in. Okay, so we can continue with other documents. We talked about the import and export license. Some
Yes.
countries, some countries require import or export licenses for specific goods or controlled items. Yes, like fish. I talk about fish because it's controlled. Uganda started controlling fish because they were citing that they wanted the fish to grow. So they want people to first the fish to grow, and only those who catch a big fish will be the one allowed in the lakes or the river. So they only want big fish. The small fish, you leave it to grow. So if they get you outside here when you're trading, when you're trading in fish and you're selling small fish, they will confiscate it, and they also confiscate you. If you're using a vehicle, they will confiscate all that vehicle, and they will give you fines to pay. So due to that, they impose taxes. So the other licenses to be secured by these people, these traders who involve themselves in the fish industry. So these licenses,
Recording in progress.
Yes, yes, you are welcome.
Yes.
Yes, the 40 minutes had elapsed, so I've subscribed for another 40 minutes. I guess these 40 minutes will make us finish this step.
You converted to?
I'm saying I've just connected to another 40 minutes. The other one have elapsed.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so I was still saying that this import and export license uh, give to authorizes to the traders to conduct specific or conditions under specific conditions and restrictions. The ones I said now, for example, for the fish, they will start telling you that that you only have to deal in fish that is, or maybe above 5 kgs, that is kilograms or 5 kilograms. You see? So these are the restrictions that comes with this uh, licenses or the import and the export license. Then we go to customs declarations. The
Yes.
custom declarations is a document that provides detailed information about the imported or exported goods. This one is the more important. Custom declaration is another document which is required by the customs. You declare all the goods that you are importing or exporting. So this includes data such as the descriptions of the goods, the value, the origin, where these goods are coming from. Then they harmonize the system code. Then the custom declaration is submitted to the customs authorities for clearance. So after this custom declaration is where they now determine the different taxes that you're supposed to pay. If the goods are also restricted in the country, that is where they will also understand that the business that I'm in is restricted if you did not make enough research. But if you made enough research, you cannot go into it. For example, in this case, there's another case of Uganda. For South Sudan, you can bring any car to South Sudan, any make like they depend on the years. So in Uganda, any car that was manufactured 15 years and below, sorry, 15 years and above, it means that you don't you should not bring that car in Uganda because it is banned. It is banned by the law. You cannot bring that car. So during the custom declaration, you need to declare because these are the details that come with the car. The make, that is the year, and when it was manufactured, and the year when it was registered. always the year when it was manufactured and the year which was when it was registered, they are always the same, but the month varies. The year can, oh, the car can be manufactured like like in 1994 May, and it can get registered in November, because they also, the authorities of needs to first verify this car before they first verify this car by inspecting it and doing other forms of verification process, such that they also register it. So those cars that are prohibited in Uganda by the law, if you declare them at the customs that you're clearing them to Uganda, they will not accept them. But they can accept these cars to pass through Uganda if they are going to other destinations, for example, South Sudan. You can bring this car which is prohibited in Uganda, but because you declare them at the border, this car with all the documents, because for the start, so to get the import license, export license of this car, it is set the destination of the car, okay, of this consignment. So the destination is South Sudan. So if you're declaring this car at the border, for example, when you're bringing the cars to South Sudan, they pass through Malaba or Mombasa. Oh, that is Malaba. So if you reach there, you also declare that this car is going to South Sudan with the Ugandan authorities. They will also ask you for their charges, but they will not confiscate the car because it is not destined for Uganda. Okay, so this is the work of the customs declaration. Let me hope that you have made it clear for you to understand.
Yes.
Then there's also what we call insurance certificate. An insurance certificate provides evidence of insurance coverage for the goods during transit. You know, other countries, it's mandatory for these goods or a vehicle to have insurance. Okay, so there are different insurance coverage. So it specifies the type and extent of insurance and the parties involved. So for you to import any good, for example, the issue of the car that I'm talking about, it should have insurance. Mm. And for the case of Uganda, they also, if your the car is moving in from Mombasa, it's still in the Kenyan side, it needs to get insurance in using the insurance companies that are available in Kenya. When it's also processed to Uganda, Uganda will also demand insurance, because the insurance will party, it will be the one responsible for anything that happens to the car. Of course, you know the types of insurance. I will not tell you the purpose of the insurance, but you know, and we are just discussing about this document. Why is it required by the law? Okay, and when it reaches South Sudan, also during after clearing, they will also ask you for insurance certificate from the South Sudan side. Okay, so each country has its insurance policy. Mm. You pay according to their rates and tax, their prices that they have set. So there's also what we call inspection certificates. These certificates are awarded to the importer or the exporter after inspecting the goods. So the purpose of inspecting these goods, one, they want to know they want to certify the quality of these goods. Hmm?
Yes.
Two, conformity. They want to understand, to know if these goods conform to the standards that are required. Because other countries have their own standards. You just don't just import your goods to that country because you produce these goods. No, other countries have their standard of the goods that they consume. Then there's also inspection compliance with the regulations. The one I've talked about. They need to inspect this car. is it the ones which are required by the rules and regulations of the country, or if, for example, the car is restricted by that law that each car which is 18 to 15 years and older should not be imported in that country. So the inspection certificate also wants to find out or to ascertain these things. Is this person compliant with the regulations that are put across? So this document is issued by the authorized inspection agency.
Okay.
If the Minister of Environment is the one that is responsible for inspection, yes. If in Uganda, if it's concerning drugs, that is in the National Drugs Authority. If they are goods, that is the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. They want to see the standards of that good. Does it conform with their set standards that they want, the country wants? Okay. So the import and export permits. Import or export permits may be necessary for certain goods, particularly those subject to export controls or trade restrictions. So there are some goods that are subject to export controls or trade restrictions that they are not supposed to move. For example, Uganda had restrictions on drone cameras. You know these cameras which are called drone, the one which fly up the sky and they can capture from the sky. In Uganda, they saw it as a security threat because someone can just buy it because it's cheap. It's like 2 million or 5 million, between 2 and 5 million, you can get it. So if you import that kind of camera, you can spy someone. It can be a security threat. Someone can just or fly it over your house, and he stops it there for some days. Maybe this guy is spying you. So government imposed the restrictions on these cameras. So if someone wants to import this camera, you should first go and get a permit that allows you, and there are other additional requirements that are needed for you to secure that permit. So these requirements may include, maybe if they want to know what is the purpose of you pursue or purchasing this or importing this kind of camera. If you're a producer, they will also ask you for your company. They want to see your company. If you're a production manager for these shows or what, they will all get these details. After satisfying them with all the documents that they have asked from you and you fulfill them, then they will award you with your permit and you continue with the work, because they want to eliminate those who wants to get these cameras or this import this kind of good into the country because of their evil purposes. The government is always very protective. They want to protect its system, and the government also wants to protect what we call national security. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is also another document that is called a transport document. Various transport documents such as seaway bills. These are the documents that are for goods that move on the sea. Then there's airway bills. Then multimodal transport documents. Multimodal, these are more what we call many transportation network. If the goods goes into different transport networks before it reaches its destination. So that's what we call multimodal. There are other goods that reach South Sudan here if they have moved in very, it has gone through very many transport network. Even if it started on sea, then like the cars that we driving here in Juba. Others they start on sea or they start on aeroplane, then or the carrier, the car carriers, then they come on sea. When they reach Mombasa, others they put on car carriers, others they start driving it on the road. So these are multimodal transport. So these documents that you get from these stages, if on sea you get a document, then when you reach on road transport you also get a document. Okay, so these are essential for confirming the receipt of the goods by the carrier. They are very important and providing instruction for their transportation. These documents ensure that the goods are properly handled, loaded, and delivered to the correct destination. You see, some of the goods, they write on them that uh, they are delicate or handled with care. Okay. Yes. So another documents also. These are the payment documents. Payment documents such as letters of credit. Did we talk about letters of credit? These are the some of the international payment methods, letters of credit. So basically, if I can give you a brief explanation of a letter of credit, a letter of credit is written. It's written given by a bank. So, if for example, I'm buying some goods from Japan, anywhere. Let me use Japan. Okay. So if I'm buying some goods from Japan, after identifying the kinds of the goods and uh, making the negotiations with the buyer, with the seller, and securing the commercial invoice, and I know the total amount of money that I need to pay, then what I will do, I will apply for a letter of credit from my bank. Any bank, for example, here in Juba here, I can select any bank, maybe Ecobank. Then I go for and apply for a letter of credit. Then the bank will ask me for details. One, they will ask me for the invoice, the commercial invoice. Then they will also check on my bank statement. How are my bank statements? How do I have money really which can total up to the amount of money that is required by this invoice? If yes, then they will go ahead to give me the letter of credit. So that letter of credit, that initial bank of mine, which is here in Juba, it will connect with its partner bank in the country where the seller is, that is in Japan, then that bank will be the confirming bank. So that bank will assure will my bank will assure that bank in Japan that will you pay such and such a person for the payment of these goods as I provided in the invoice, in the commercial invoice. So what the bank will do will also communicate to the seller. Then the seller should also provide the documents that the bank will require. Then after confirming this document, then the seller will be paid. So my bank will pay the seller directly. This letter of credit helps when I'm not uh, sure of the seller. Maybe if the seller has, or, or if I'm fear of defaulting my money, okay? If I'm in fear of scammers, you can use this kind of or payment method. Okay. Then there's also payment
Yes.
drafts or receipts. This is the cash payment. Okay. So for facilitating payment between the buyer and the seller, these documents are more important even before the electronic payment methods. So we shall also talk about the electronic payment methods. But the electronic payment methods, if you have never used them before, if you your first time, they can give you a challenge. One, if you're dealing with the organization or the company for the first time, it gives you doubt of or whether you're dealing with a genuine or company or organization. So it is always advisable to use letter of credit because it can at least give some help and defense to that. So these documents provide proof of payment and ensure that the financial aspect of the import or export transaction are properly executed. So if at, during the declaration of the documents or the customs declarations, they may also ask you for these payment documents. So if you the payment receipt, then you also have to provide. So let's talk about the electronic documents, the electronic documentation, such that we can wind up this.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the electronic documentations?
Documentations
Electronic documentation,
and its
it refers to
benefits.
the use of digital formats and technology to create, store, manage, and transmit import and export documents. So other countries right
Yes.
now, they don't use paperwork. So this electronic documentation is replacing the traditional basic documentation process. So other documents can be shared in a PDF, others can be stored in XML or electronic data interchange. Electronic data interchange means that for the customs authorities, what they do, they come up with their system. So what other when you come with the agents or the shippers, when you're filling in these forms, you just fill in this information on this software, that this system that is there in place. So you will not need your papers, eh, for processing your clearance. You will just have to send them electronically. So there are some benefits of this electronic documentation, because we talked about all these documents. If you have all these documents in paper, this is a lot of work. Every time you're carrying papers, and when you lose one paper, what will happen? It means that each paper that you get, you need to photocopy. So this one is tedious one, and this one is costly. So the benefits of the electronic documentation, one, it helps in efficiency and time saving. You don't need to move around to go and start to photocopy documents. You already have the work in soft copy, so you just need to forward. Hmm? Then cost reduction. This cost of photocopying, buying papers, every time writing papers, you can just have it on photocopy. And photocopy, if you, soft copy, even if you have in soft copy, it's just easy to retrieve. You can get it, and you can also store it simply, in soft copy. Okay. Then
Yeah.
another point is improve the accuracy. So electronic documentation, they reduce errors, and inaccuracies, because because these things of entering data manually or paper-based processing has a lot of errors because human beings can get tired. But if you allow other data to be automatic or automated, due to its validity, if you want to validate a document using a computer, it's just simple. If you're using a specific software, for example, the scanners, you find other borders they have scanners. You just scan some of the codes, then it displays everything. This one saves time and accuracy than everything writing and doing one. Then it also enhance security and data protection. Data that is in paper, really it can get burnt. How do you protect that data? If it rains, it is really very expensive to protect this data. But when it's kept in soft copy, they are digital files which can be encrypted. Encrypted is converting them into codes, such that no one can understand them. You can keep your data in you. For example, you have passwords in your phones. That is a way of security. You're securing your information. Don't want people to know what is there. That is confidentiality. You're also preventing unauthorized access. So electronic documentation is really the best way to go. Okay. So even another point here is integration and automation. I talked about it. When you're using
Integration.
data, it's easy to integrate inventory management or strategies and logistics into one document. If there is a software an organization has created for managing its inventory, it can just share it with the supplier, so everything just integrate and the supplier will just get that information from that software. If the levels, or you can monitor the levels of the inventory from that software. The logistics, you can track the movement of the goods if you're using this electronic documentation. So our next topic will be international logistics. Okay, so you also have to read ahead. You have to get time over the weekend and go through these notes of international logistics.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Sorry.
Do you have any question on what we have discussed?
Actually, I'm asking about this, and the point you have been ended now. That is what I see now, like accessibility and
Accessibility and
integration
availability.
and automation. So those points, sometimes I miss through what I try to print. I don't know whether is it different, and I see the different color. And what I print here is a different color. I don't know whether is it that there is a different a bit. So
Okay,
I don't
maybe
know.
I made
Yes.
it to be bold. It is bold. So accessibility
Okay.
and availability,
Yes.
in this reference of electronic documents can be accessible and shared easily from anywhere. I said if they are electronically, for example, if you've kept your documents on your phone, you can access it anywhere. And you can also share
Yeah,
it
even like for
anytime.
example, these days, instead of someone carrying like you carry your certificate when you are going to apply somewhere, what they do now, you scan them, maybe you
You
save
scan
them in,
them and keep them in
your
your
email.
phone or via your
Email. So
email. So
anytime you can just access them.
anyone asks for your document, you send me your academic documents. You don't need to say, okay, let me rush home and maybe get the document and go and photocopy or bring it. You already have it in your phone. You just send it. So keeping this the document electronically has a lot of benefits that we have
Yes.
seen under here. So I will let you go. We shall meet on Monday. My time also is saying I'm left with the 10 minutes for this session also to end.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you.
Okay, so thank you.
Hello?
Thank you very much. Has been good. I'm like, thank you very much. Has been good, and we have really understood the explanation. We are very clear, and it's good. Yes,
Yeah.
our request. Me and Marco, we always link up. We always update ourselves on some issues.
Mm.
One thing is about the message that I sent you direct yesterday. Even Marco told me that Garang, you have to ask one of these lecturers to tell us exactly how many course units are we doing by name. Because this is when you go to the learning platform, we get a lot of them, and then we download, we start reading a lot of them. Then later on, if they say
You
that
need
we
to
are not
do
doing this,
6. So I said I'm going to
yeah,
review. So I did not get
yes,
time today to review this. Thank you for reminding me. So I'll review
okay,
them this
okay, there's
night.
no
So
problem.
by tomorrow I'll update you.
No problem, sir. This is what I want to know. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
today.
But what you
We
should
link
know,
up.
there should be 6 modules only for this semester.
Okay,
Okay,
no
thank
problem.
you very much.
That is so. That is what we want to take in a way we can understand. So long as we cannot even moving up and down to confuse.
Okay.
So that's why we wanted you to wind it us with us such that it direct us. We could not be confusing up and down.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you
so
for participating in this.
thank you very much. Yes.
Bye bye.
Recording stopped.
WhatsApp yokuno ndasindika ngenda kuyisiza calling. Nga nnyumba bizinensi eyo. Wano nga wookya.
Dear students, you are welcome to this session. Today we are going to look at body fluids. Is a continuation of anatomy and physiology. My name is I'm called Kiden Robina. I'll be taking you through this session. We are looking at body fluids. So generally, in this unit, we are. Dear students, you are welcome to this session. Today we are going to